Hey everybody, Kelly here. So, a few weeks ago you may recall that I received a scrap box from Quilting, and it was a pretty good sized box, and so I had actually gone through and bundled up a bunch of the scraps that were in it. So I wouldn't necessarily call it scraps either, because there was some half yards and yards in that box. But it was a pretty good one, and probably one where they maybe were short-handed. Like, I don't know. I hesitate to say. They maybe just weren't able to cut it up into individual bags for scrap bags on the Saturday night Destash, and so they just sold the box. And I think myself and I feel like there were a couple people that actually were bidding on it, and I don't know, things, like, I got really confused, but I think one other, I think it was I can't remember who it was, but anyhow, there was one other person that I ended up splitting the box with, which was great. And I hope that she got as much good stuff as I did, and I hope everybody else gets good stuff out of their scrap bags. But anyhow, so this particular one had several things that I actually bundled up to use them all to use all this in a quilt, and all this in a quilt, and etc. And so what I have here in front of me is actually a quilt that I'm planning to make from some batiks that were in this box. And then I actually pulled a couple things. So this actually came in a scrap bag that I purchased the week before, and then this was actually in my stash. So this is just going to be something that I maybe cut up if I need some extra 5-inch squares. But anyhow, this particular project, when I was bundling these up, I thought this item right here actually, to me, kind of reads like a panel. It's a batik, so there, it could be cut up, and I mean, even a panel could be cut up, right? But so this could be cut up into different little squares, etc. But I actually feel like I like it more as a panel, and would like to keep it as a panel, and just kind of do some strips and maybe some 5-inch squares around the outside of it, and then actually use it to practice my quilting. So I think basically I'm looking at this one as a quick piece together the top, and be able to use it more for practicing my quilting. Yeah, and just trying to go for something quick and easy, and still pretty, very pretty, because this piece of fabric to me, well, all fabric to me is pretty, but this piece is particularly, just reads to me like it ought to just be left alone. So, and then just have a border around it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work on that. So I kind of had a plan for cutting this down, and then actually using this lighter color and putting around this piece, and then using the blue and putting around that in strips, and then actually using these pieces right here and cutting them into 5-inch squares to do like a 5-inch square border. And if I have enough, I will probably take some of this and actually border it again before I'm done. So it's kind of, in a way, like, I don't necessarily have an exact plan and all drawn out. It's just gonna kind of be put it up on the board and see what size we get to, and say, that's good. We're done. Let's sandwich it together and quilt it. Alright, so along that line, let's get to cutting some strips. Alright, so I measured my panel, and I cut my 2 fat-8 and my fat quarter into 5-inch squares, and I ended up with just a few scraps left from those 3 fabrics. I am gonna just sew them together in strips now, and I'm pretty sure I didn't feel like doing math, but I'm fairly certain that I'm gonna be about 2 inches short on the top and the bottom strip, and so I will probably just put one of these strips in there and put them on one end on the top and the other end on the bottom and call it a design choice. And then once I get the 5-inch strips on, I actually plan on cutting, I think, a 3-inch strip of this fabric here, and then I would like to try maybe a 6-inch border out of this color here. That might actually be getting too big, so I may come back and have a little bit different choice in mind. I'm just trying to do this one super quick, not really following a pattern, just piecing together a top quick and then having something to practice my quilting with. Okay, I haven't quite pieced together my 5-inch squares yet, but I'm going to go ahead and actually cut the inner border and the outer border right now and kind of be prepared with them. So the inner border I'm going to do 2.5-inch strips, and the outer border I want to do, I think I want to do 7.5 on the outside and 6 inches on the top and bottom. And the reason for that is I would like to have a little bit more width to it. The panel is very elongated, and so I'd like to have a little bit more width to it and don't need quite as much length. So I think 1.5 inch difference for the sides to the top and bottom won't be extremely noticeable, but it will give a little bit more width. So, and if it is noticeable, I can always cut it off. Alright, so go ahead, and I actually need to piece my sides together, is going to be kind of an issue. So yeah, in fact, I'm thinking if I piece them together and don't like it, I may end up going scrappy and finding another fabric that I might throw in with it and do one piece in this color and one piece in the other color on each side, and like, you know, one side be the top and one side be the bottom with the other color. But I'm kind of playing it by ear. I'm kind of winging it here, so. Alright, and I need 7.5 inches, so gonna actually go by my mat because I don't have a 7.5 inch ruler, or I guess I could use my 10-inch ruler, but I'm just gonna go by my mat here. And as long as I cut them all by my mat, it won't be a problem. Alright, so 29, 21.5, actually, no, hang on, uh-oh, what did I do? I messed up already. Yep, it was supposed to be 28.5 and I cut to 29.5. Alright, well, that might be my 6-inch one. So if I cut to 29.5, then I need to cut to 22. See, I told you I couldn't do math tonight. I really don't have a problem with math very much. I just don't feel like doing it right now. And when I do, I like to sit down and figure things out, and I just didn't want to figure things out for this particular quilt. I just want to get it done quick. So, or the top of it anyhow. I don't mean to sound like I need to do this quick and I don't enjoy myself. I do. I just kind of want to get the top done so that I can practice my actual quilting. Alright, so that should be 2, 3. I have to move my fabric here. Line it up just right. Alright, 18 means 11 and a half. Hang on, what do I got going on there? Okay. Now I need to line it up again. Alright, so 18 would be 11 and 7, it's 10 and a half. Alright, so there's my 4 7.5-inch pieces. 10 and a half. So what did I cut this at? 6.5? Yeah, 6.5. So cut this at 4, it'll be 6.5. Okay, so I might actually just go ahead and leave it at 6.5. It'll not hurt anything to have a little bit more height to it. Well, I mean, it'll look, like I said, I was going for more width than height, and so if it does look odd, I can always cut it more later. It might look kind of odd to have my sides bigger than my top and bottom, but if I leave it like this, they won't be too much bigger. Just an inch. And I'm not going to trim it down just yet, because I'm not exactly certain what length I'm going to need. Actually, now that I think about it, I think I might need more than that. No, actually the panel's 20 inches. If I add 5 to each side, and then 2, that's roughly 34, less than that for seam allowance. I was suddenly thinking, wait, is that going to be wide enough? Oh, I know why, because I didn't figure in the 7.5 inches for my border strips, because I do not like doing my quilts with the vertical strips having this. See, you want to have the seams running horizontal. So I may come up with some type of cornerstone or something to be able to put on the corners of this, but for right now, good enough. In fact, maybe I'll just use the fabric that I'm going to cut the 2.5-inch inner border strips out of. Have an inner border out of this, and then this for the outer border, and then use this for some cornerstones. We'll see how that goes. Alright, so I'm going to cut 2.5-inch strips for the inside border. And I think I'm gonna actually need 2 per side. Yeah, I'm gonna need to piece that together. But I might be able to use a couple of my scraps and make it kind of unique. Okay, I'm just gonna cut however many I think I need to make the inside border out of this all together. But I may end up throwing a scrap in there. So that's one side. I should have got my big ruler down and cut my strips real quick, but I almost always forget about it unless I have to do a whole bunch of them. But I guess 6 is kind of a bunch, so. And I may actually cut a little bit more because I think this is going to be a nice binding color for this. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll just do these for now and I'll set this aside. Because it might also just be part of the backing. Yeah, this might be part of the backing. But I'm going to have to see what else. I may have a different fabric that I want to use for the backing that's just going to be all one piece. We'll see. Let me see if I can, if I can not fall over. I can back up here and show you so far. I like it just with the pieced border, but it's not quite big enough, so I need to put some more strips on it. But I got my 5-inch pieces on, and this might drive some people crazy. I'm sorry, gonna move. This might drive some people kind of crazy, but because I didn't feel like doing my math and figuring it all out perfect, I actually just threw in a 2.5-inch strip here at the end of this piece, and then my side borders also came out slightly uneven, but it was something that I knew was going to happen, and so I planned for it. So I have the 2.5-inch strip here with the uneven border on the top corner on that side, and then I actually have it, sorry, moving the camera again, down here at the other side. So they're kind of opposite each other, and I just actually kind of like it as a design. So it really wasn't me choosing to do that so much as it was me choosing to not necessarily care that they were all 5-inch squares all the way around and that it fit just right around this panel. I knew it wasn't going to, and that I was going to have to do that little technique there. But yeah, so far I think I like the colors together. I think it's turning out pretty cute, and hopefully my borders will only add to that. I am a little concerned because the yellow one here, in fact, I'm going to set you down here. The yellow one over there actually might be a little too much yellow and blue and purple instead of green. But here, let me grab it and I'll put it next to the quilt here and we'll take a look. Yeah, I actually think that's going to be just fine. It's just going to be a thin little strip in the center there, and I think it gives it a little bit of brightness between the 5-inch blocks and the outer border there. So I'm going to sew those on and I'll be right back. Alright, so I've got all but my top and bottom strip sewn together, and I have a little bit of extra from the light blue yellow fabric on the sides. That is also what I'm putting on the top and bottom. So I have a little bit of extra fabric, and I could just piece together the top and bottom and have a seam just like I do on the sides. You can kind of see the one there. I've got a seam on that side and then the other one kind of down toward the bottom. And I basically did the same sort of thing where I've got some scrappiness going on up here in the top corner and then some scrappiness in the bottom corner on the other side. But I think what I want to do is actually find a different fabric to add to the top and bottom. And so I'm auditioning a couple of pieces here. So on the right hand side I have the same fabric that I used for the 2-inch strip inside. I think that's probably what I'm leaning toward using. I had kind of wanted to keep the rest of it as is so that I can use it for the backing and only have to add a couple of pieces to it. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and use it up and be able to use what's left of it in the binding strips then, and I'll just come up with something different for the backing. But I may not, I don't know. But so that's an option. My other option, I pulled out a couple of scraps that I had batik wise, and this green one here I think is really too green for going against the kind of light blue yellow. It does kind of go with the green squares there, or blend with it anyhow. And so I might consider using that. I'm not sure that I have enough though for all 4 corners, that's the thing. Or even 2 corners. I think I might do it that way. Instead of sewing on 4 pieces, I may just move the strip all the way to one side. And just sew it on one end. And then I'll probably put the new strip, or the new piece, the additional piece on the side that has the scrappiness going on. So up here on the top and then down on the right hand side. Yeah, I think I'll like that better than doing the 2 pieces on either side. Just trying to do it real quick too, so talking about it's not making it so quick, but anyhow. So I have this other piece here to the side as well that's really light, and I might potentially use that one. Honestly, it's really not that different from the piece that I used for the 2.5-inch strip, so I don't know if I would like that or not. Honestly, I may end up doing that and then be able to keep my whole other piece for the backing. And then again, I have yet a third option. Let me pan you down here toward the bottom where I pinned it up. I actually have a really royal blue batik, and I thought about using that. It is quite a bit more blue than the blues that I have in this quilt. Let me try to zoom in here and you can see it a little better. I don't know if the color's showing up really well on my camera here, but it's very royal blue, and the other blues in this are kind of have more gray tone to them. They're not gray, but they have kind of more of a gray tone to it than a gray-green kind of tone. And so, I don't know, I was kind of thinking that I would like something dark colored, but it's just a little bit too different from the other colors in the panel and the other colors in the squares. So I'm not sure if I'll use that one or not. Right now I'm actually kind of leaning toward going ahead and using the cream colored one there with the leaves. And then saving and using the rest of this on the back for a scrappy backing. I don't know, we'll see here in a second. Alright, well, I've got the top piece together. It's a little bit scrappy, but I actually really like it, and I was just going for something that I could get done fairly quickly. So there's no real pattern to it, but let me see if I can close up on it and show you something. Sorry, I'm going to be moving in. So this row right here, when I put on the top and bottom rows, I actually just had a 2.5 inch strip, and it equaled out to the length of the top and bottom of the panel. And so then when I actually went to do the sides, I just pinned on the side, and so like this side I would have started by sewing at the bottom, and then when I finished up here I just went ahead and trimmed that off so that it would be even. And then I had to do the same on the other side, but toward the bottom. So I have all my scraps here on the one side at the top and on the other side at the bottom. The one thing that I don't like is that I didn't have a long enough side piece, so I had to seam that together. It's all right. I mean, I knew I was doing that when I sewed it on, and it's all right. I just kind of wish that I had gone ahead and tried to find another scrappy piece to put in, but not so much that I'm going to undo it and redo it. So, all right. The other thing I wanted to go over with you here is I've actually pieced together a backing. So at first I thought I was going to try to do a full-size backing for this, but the only one that I have that's a batik is actually this brownish green yellow here and orange. And I thought about using that on the back, but I just thought there's too much brown in it for a blue quilt. So it's blue and green on the front, and it's just too much brown to make that the backing piece. I did kind of think if I did that it could in a way be like a 2-season quilt, because you could have this for the front panel anytime, and then if you use that on the back you could turn it toward that in the fall and it'd be more fall colors. But I decided that I would just go ahead and piece together a couple of pieces that I have up there in the right hand corner. The left hand corner is actually the same color. I just have it laid out kind of funny here. So, and actually that's probably not going to be the upper, that's probably going to be the bottom of the back. So it's mostly going to be the green. And I think this green blends pretty well with the quilt top. So alright, now I just got to figure out how I'm going to quilt it. So I'm going to go ahead and sandwich it together, and I'll come back and figure out how exactly I want to have it quilted. Alright, quilting. So, I feel like I should probably go over with everybody. I'm sure if you've been watching any of my previous videos, you already know that I consider myself to be a beginner machine quilter. I am not a beginner quilter. I have been quilting for a very long time. I've been piecing and hand quilting for a very long time, but I have not had a lot of experience machine quilting. In the past, I've just done the occasional quilt, 1 or 2 a year, that type of thing. And you can do that when you're hand quilting and only want to do so many per year. That's fine. But when you're kind of wanting to step it up a little bit and get more done and have more and be able to give more and maybe even possibly sell a few, you need to really get more proficient on a machine in order to get more done. So I actually picked this panel right here. I'm calling it a panel. I don't know if it actually is or not. The way there is a repeat to it, but then again, this bottom part here is not, there would be a repeat all the way through, and so that's not part of the repeat, and so I felt like it seemed like a panel to me, or at least read that way anyhow. Maybe a cheater fabric, that type of thing. So I actually took that for the center and then went ahead and did some scrappiness around the outside. And so quilting now, I'm trying to think what I would like to practice, but I'm also a little bit like, I like the top of the quilt now, so I like it too much to practice on it. So that's always the hard part. Like, I try to practice with smaller items like a little hot pad or a little table topper, wall hanging, that type of thing, but I need to get some practice with some bigger quilts, and so that's what I was trying to put this together real quick and just call it practice. But now I like it so much, I don't want to mess it up. So, well, anyhow, for quilting, what I was thinking is I'm kind of leaning toward maybe just doing very minimalist quilting on the inside and just kind of doing a little circle, or maybe even kind of a star point, flower point in the center, and on each of the flowers maybe a little something in there, maybe a line in the lines. And then actually I was kind of thinking, so I've got these little points here, I could just go into the green and make some with my quilting. I don't know about that though, because I'm a little bit, I feel like that would actually be something that I would do by hand, because you're going to have starts and stops unless you actually quilt and make a star and then quilt and make a star and quilt. And by quilt I mean like unless you actually had stitching over here, star, stitching, star, stitching, star, that sort of thing. So basically what I'm thinking of right now for the panel is an awful lot of starts and stops. So I don't know, I might try to think of something else. And then for the blocks on the outside here, I actually was kind of thinking practice my pebbling in the circle fabric, but then I thought I don't want to take away from the circles. I like that fabric, and I don't want to quilt it so densely that the fabric isn't hardly as nice. I don't know how I want to say that. So then I kind of thought maybe just I don't know, basically I was kind of thinking maybe just doing loops through and just practicing my giant loops all the way through. Giant loops all the way down the strip and all the way around the border. And then I think on the inner border here, the light colored, I think I'm just going to do like a wave, just a single stitched wave. On the outside, it's actually a fabric that has kind of like stars in it, so I thought about doing something like that, just a kind of a wave stitch and then a star and then a wave and then a star. So anyhow, that's some thoughts that I have for the quilting. I may change my mind as I start to get into it, but that's along the lines of what originally I was thinking. Maybe I would just do like maybe green and kind of go around the green, or just even the green down there and just highlight the green or highlight the blue You know, just a blue stitching line and blue stitching line, that sort of thing. But I'm actually kind of leaning toward my idea of just doing the centers of the flowers and maybe a little bit in these other ones, and then just doing the lines. I think that'll give me enough quilting in the center to keep it quilted down. And then if it doesn't seem like it is, maybe I'll go back through and kind of hand quilt a couple little stitches in the stars there. Yeah, I like it too much now to use it for just practice, so I'm like, oh, now I gotta do it really well. Or at least well enough. So now I got my fingers crossed and hoping I can do okay. Well, I haven't quite got it quilted yet, and that's okay because I actually just got something in the mail that I think I'm going to use that will help me on this quilt. So I wasn't planning on quilting all through the panel. I was planning to just quilt like the flower there, and then maybe do something in either the blue or the green. So I actually am kind of leaning toward just doing the flowers, and maybe the lines. That'll help quilt it down just a little bit, and then just leaving the rest as open space, which I think will still have it quilted densely enough to not cause any problems. This is an awful lot of space right there to leave empty, but I think it'll be okay. And I probably don't need to stitch in the ditch on this because I'm going to stitch down on the blocks. So yeah, so anyhow, what I got is actually a ring of stencils. I got this through Amazon, and so I was flipping through it, and I picked this one out because technically these are meant to be clover, and I'm thinking that I will stitch that out in white, and it may be odd because it's not the exact shape and it is bigger than the flower, so it's going to go off into the green and the blue. It may be odd, but it might kind of help me keep a nice design for the quilting. I mean, I might try to just do something myself, just do a little circle and follow these. I could do that. I don't know. I like the panel too much now to try anything on my own without a stencil. You know, makes me nervous. Anyhow, just got to get over that and say it's just a panel. Big deal. Anyhow, and actually, I could also just go ahead and do that same out here in the center of these open spaces and just kind of stagger them here and there. So I might do that. I do know I'm going to use this stencil for the outer border, which is plenty wide. So, in fact, let me turn you over just a little bit and I'll show you. So it's plenty wide enough for the stencil. Ooh, I'm caught on the pin there. Alright, so next thing I got, which I'm not going to use on this quilt, but I will on another one that I have to get working on. I just got some quilting paper. So I've used this before a long time ago. It's just been quite a while because I've done so much hand stitching instead of machine quilting. And so I had used it one time for like a table topper or something, but I'm thinking I'm going to use this more often to be able to do my quilts by machine without necessarily being real practiced at my free motion quilting. So this you can just trace your design onto and then put it on the quilt and follow it and stitch it and then just pull the paper off. So I'll be trying that pretty soon too. Next thing I got was actually some blank stencil sheets. I'm going to use my Cricut and actually design some stencils and cut them out on this, and then I'll be able to mark my quilts out for quilting. So all in all, it might be easier to get a long arm and get practicing with that and do that, but this is what I have for now. That's not too much money and hopefully doable. Alright, well, I'm gonna go ahead and mark this out and get to quilting. Ooh, I don't know how well I'll be able to see this on the blue. Oh well, it's just a guide. Actually, I'm not sure how well I'm going to see it on the green. I might need a different marking tool. Yep. There's no way I'm going to be able to see that when it comes time to do that. So, let's see. What else have I got? Let's try pink. Maybe that'll work. So this is an air erasable. Honestly, I haven't used them much, so we'll see. I'm assuming it's a lot like a friction pen. Then again, if I come back later tonight to quilt this and it's gone, then I know it really is just air. I think it's probably like a blow dryer or something. Okay, not too sure right now. Because it really doesn't match up with the image. But I wonder if I could have freehanded that a little bit. Alright, let me try another one. Okay, let's see. What can we do freehand here? This is gonna end up being weird too. Something along that line, maybe. I don't know, maybe I'll do both techniques on these. Let's see, I don't know, my freehand stays more inside, but the stencil is more uniform. Maybe I'll do a little bit of both. Well, my camera went dead while I was starting to quilt, so I just thought I'd come on and show you a little bit of what I got done so far. So that one's not looking too bad there. And then I kind of did another one in here. This one actually was, I had a stencil, but then I decided to follow my own little pattern anyway and free motion it. So that one didn't turn out too bad. And then over here, yeah, we got a little weebly wobbly there, but not too bad on that one either. So if I back off just a little bit, you'll see that I haven't got all the way on this. I didn't do very many. I just kind of did enough to tack down the panel. So I had maybe thought maybe I would do a couple more in the center, because I really did just do the white flowers, the solid white flowers, and then kind of did one off toward the middle in the open spots, I should say. And I haven't done my borders yet, but I'm gonna do just kind of a, I think I'm just gonna do kind of a wave or swirl in the blocks, outer blocks, and then probably just a wave on the little 2-inch border, and then I'll probably use my clover again on the outside. And I will go ahead and probably stencil this one just to give myself a bit more of a guide. I do like it better when I have lines to kind of go by, even if I mess up, even if I choose to do something different after all. But I think when I have the guide, I just feel a little bit better. So alright, so like I said, quilt was probably not going to be done, and it is not going to be done. But I do have something else that I want to add on to the end of this video. So give me just a second and I'll be right back. Alright, well, I need to draw the winner for the Soya Destash Scrappy Box. I'm trying to remember what I called it. Soya Destash Scrappy Box Part 2. I need to draw a giveaway winner. I've got a Halloween bundle, and I think a Valentine's bundle, and a pattern, actually a pattern book, and a mystery item. And I think I had a picture of that, so I'll try to post that in here too. And so now I need to actually draw the winner from the comments. So I've only done this once before, so give me a minute and I'll figure it out. Let's see. And I'm sorry, it's not actually September 1st. Technically, it's September 2nd because it's about 2 a.m. because I just got off work. So, right. And as you can see, I'm already enjoying dessert in the middle of the night. Okay. Let me see what I need to do here. Number of winners, just one. Let's do the CAPTCHA. And let's see. Well, there's a spot where I'm supposed to put in the word. I don't think this is the one I used before. I'm gonna pause you for just a minute. Alright, I think I found the one that I was using before, so let's find out. I'm not a robot. Huh, we've hit a snag. Of course. Oh. Alright, well, let's pause you a moment. Okay, I found another one. So let's try it. Sara Wertheimer. Yay! Alright, congratulations. Hey, so my email will be down in the description box below. So just email me and I will get that sent out to you. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you all for commenting. There's only a few of you so far, but hey, you know, I love reading anything that anybody wants to send. Trying to think of all the things I want to say. I'm just so happy for Sara. Yay! I actually kept one of those Halloween bags as well, so part of the Halloween goodies is actually a panel that makes 2 trick-or-treat bags. And I had 2 of them, so I actually kept one of them, and I'm getting ready to make them for my cousin's little kids, so that'll be fun. Anyhow, and I hope you enjoy. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up, and make sure you're subscribed, and put on the notification bell, and all those good things, and be sure to comment, and maybe some comments letting me know some tips that I could use to improve my machine quilting, because I could definitely use the tips. Like I said, I've been a hand quilter for a long time, so I do a fair job at that, but the machine quilting is still kind of new to me, so and I would love to get a long arm one of these days, but might be a little ways down the road. So anyhow, but thanks for watching, and hope you all have a good day.